to think that maybe there is an issue there. Maybe, just maybe, that somehow the story has not been put straight. Abraham should not fear death, nor should he fear any other. He should live his life knowing that if it ends today, fine. I'm already friend to God, and God talks to me, and I'm going to God. What's the problem? That's more better. So yeah, if death is the answer to things, yeah, let me go. But even that time, if you know Abraham, the father of faith, the father of all the generation, including myself, everybody, not ready to die, that he himself feared to die. He didn't want to die by the hands of Pharaoh or anybody, with all God being with him. Then Abraham went out from Egypt. So Abraham had to leave Egypt because the Pharaoh asked him to leave. And he went on his journey from the south as far as Bethel, Genesis 13, verse 3, and placed a tent, where he had where his tent had been at the beginning between Bethel and to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abraham called on the name of the Lord. Lot also, who went with Abraham. That's the cousin. And I see the writings of Lot also in the Quran. The cousin of Lot, he had flocks and herds and tents, knew the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen and Abraham's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock and Canaanites. Now, these were the rivalry between Abraham's livestock and Lot's, because they were having issues with they were all rearing animals. They all have this cattle, head of sheep and all that. There was a problem there, so they have to separate themselves as a result. Abraham said to Lot, please let there be no strife between you and me. The herdsmen and my herdsmen fighting each other. We are okay, but they are arguing, and so let's just have that peace. The only peaceful means is you go your way, I go my way. That separation. And Lot left his eyes, and he chose a place and he went. And Abraham also chose his place and he went. Where Lot went is a very fruitful land, but Abraham didn't care where he would go because he believed that God is with him. Somehow Lot went to his place where he can find food and settle there with his family. And the story goes on, and God continue confirm his promise to Abraham. He will make his descendants like what? The dust of the earth, so that if a man could number the dust of the earth, then your descendants also could be numbered. Arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I gave it to you. The land, God is giving him the land. And Abraham moved his tents and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which are a Hebron, and built an altar there to the Lord. So here Abraham had a promise from God, and he's got a place to settle from there, and promised by God that his descendant will be like a sand on the earth, and they'll be uncountable. And now, whether he's talking about the Jews, but his descendants, all in his lifetime, was Isaac and Ishmael. The other ones, I don't know, but that's all there is. So God promised him something that he will not live to see. He will not live to see. And he had to accept that. Now, that was his dream, that was his problem. And surely he only had 2 children, evidently clear that was his main children. And did not even live long to see his great-great-grandchildren and all that. And the descendants that has been told to him that, oh, here are my descendants. God really said, I will fill the earth like the son. He didn't live to see that. He rather had his own group of people, the herdsmen. He had the animals. He had his herdsmen, and they will all become a family people. And his only two sons, and the son Isaac would be a heir, and the other one he had the other one to live. So you can see here that even if God spoke to Abraham, or there was Abraham and God spoke to Abraham and Abraham and all that stuff, the story has got lapses. It's got issues within that you can see clearly that the Almighty God coming up with such stories through whoever was authoring or writing them is reflecting on something that you are having hard time thinking it through. God is speaking to you and you cannot understand why God will say this in relation to where the storylines are all coming from. That's what the whole thing is about. A descendant. You promised me a whole descendant. I did not see the descendant. If one get promise about something, if you promise me to give me anything within the specific time of my lifespan, that is where there is an expectation. Outside of this lifespan, I have nothing to expect anymore. My life is gone. But the life that I have, whether it's 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, within that lifespan is where my expectation of promise is. I'm not expecting anything after my life is ended or gone. So obviously God was promising him something in his lifetime. His descendants. He will see his descendants. Then what is worth the promise then? But today people have their own belief and they follow through with it. That's their choice. It's not mine to decide. If you decide to follow a donkey, you follow a donkey. You make a donkey becomes your main dependent of traveling. If it takes you 200 years to get to your destination, that is your choice. If there are other options and yet that's what you choose, then that's your choice, or that's what you could afford. That is what you have. If you choose a horse, the same way. If you choose a car, that's the same way. The options are there today in this generation, this world, in this time. I give them, I'm opening up to them and say, okay, these are the options. What do you see? What do you think? This is what you see here. This is what is being revealed to you. Is this what you would think it is? No or yes. Entirely up to you to decide. Then we move on to 14, Genesis. And it came to pass in the days of what? Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arok, king of Elasa, Chedor, Lemor, king of Elam, and Tadil, king of nations, that they made war with the Bera, king of Sodom, Berisha, king of Gomorrah, Shenan, king of Admah, Shemeba, king of Zebulun, and the king of Bela, that is Zoar. All these joined together in the valley of Sedem, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Chedorlaomer, and in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him came and attacked the Rephaim in the Ashtoreth, Kenem, and Zanim in the Ham, the Emim in the Shaveh, Kiriathaim, and the Horites in their mountains of Seir, as far as El Paran, which is by the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En Meshphat, that is Kadesh, and attacked all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites who dwelt in Hezazon Tamar. Now, this is something about the areas where Lot